Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. The reason why the picture of the Black Panther and the Pink Panther and Pinky are on the screen is because I'm trying to help you understand what women prefer naturally. When they're not under mind control, when they're not so distracted by rape by deception, when they are bred to focus on what matters most so that mind control doesn't affect them in this time that we live in. It's also about the issue of female captives in the Old Testament. The key word here is right. Why is it wrong to rape a woman? Okay, because it is not right. And I'm not saying R-I-T-E. I don't speak in code or wordplay. Okay. It's also important to note that the idealized samurai's wife in popular culture, the ideal one, agrees with me. And who disagrees? Well, Freddy Krueger types, Cruella de Vil types, the serial killer William Gacy who used to dress up as a clown and abuse kids, psychopaths, rapists, monsters, people who want to maintain the rape by deception system, who don't want to treat people fairly, disagree. Also keep in mind that the deity of the West, Zeus, is Set's counterpart. Set is a play on words for tease. And it's important, I say this again and again in videos from time to time. And women dress in a way that's sexually provocative. And the word provocative starts with the word pro for a reason. And in a way that's sexually suggestive, quite often, that is. So not every one of them, but enough of them so that the overall effect is that the righteous person is being punished and tortured more for being righteous. And the more he's sharp and wise and has mental clarity, the more he's suffering. So there's a lot of people who would say, it's not a big deal because they're dull. And there's people who are gay who are very much included in the cultures that they live in, quite often, more often than not, who also want to keep things the way they are, and it plays stupid about it. And the masses of people out of fear play stupid about it. Okay, so point number 1. Respect is earned. Again, respect is earned. If you want me to respect your so-called right to have sovereignty over your body, you have to earn that. We'll get to it later when we talk about prison. So there's a bunch of feminists. Don't let them be a law enforcement person. Don't let it be a female cop, arguing that I'm wrong. Do you not take away women's sovereignty when you take them to jail? Can they pursue happiness from prison and jail? Is this to the same degree? No. Can they date who they want from jail or prison? No. So how are you going to say, hey, under no circumstances should their sovereignty be taken away from them or limited? And in some places, they still have the death penalty. So don't let it be someone who is pro-death penalty. You're going to take away their life, not just their sovereignty. And most women prefer to be raped rather than killed. For better or worse, mind you. So respect is earned, and this includes romantic judgment. The body is very much a reproductive vessel, okay, and God is the creator. Even agnostics, as foolish as they are, should know that good should be produced, reproduction, reproduced, if anything. Point number 2. The masses of females have been using their female influence, okay, to reinforce evil for a long time. And playing stupid about what evil is just overkills their failure. So people say, well, there's a lot of good in the world. Depends on how you define good. If you define good as moral precision, right? That someone should never rape your kid at all versus once a week, right? The morally precise thing is never to do it. So if you lower your standard for what is good, okay, then in a sense you're right? But you're wrong. There isn't a lot of good in the world. There's a ton of evil, and I'm the only one doing the right thing. And that's a discussion for another day. Even if you don't want to include that as part of my argument here, you'll still see that I'm right. Point number 3. Never should the most righteous person ever suffer heartbreak, okay, other than, his wife dies or something, depending on why she dies, right? So, should women and society at large not prioritize romantic justice for the most righteous person that ever lived? Yes. If you're a righteous king and you see that you live in a capitalist society And the most righteous person is shunned by females. Because he's not rich, because he's targeted, you say stop targeting him, right? And you'd give him lots of money. And you would expect him, though it's up to him, right? But you'd expect him to not treat women the same way as he would treat them if they had not shunned him when he was targeted and not so rich. You see what I'm saying? Because respect is earned. If you only date me if I'm not targeted and I have money, fuck you. That's some bitch ass shit. Shame on you and your family. You don't think I'll treat you the same way as someone who would have the heart to stand with me. For richer and poorer, for sickness and health, whether targeted or not. Whether it's when you first meet me or we've been married for 10 years. If you don't know I'm right about that, why the hell don't you know that I'm right about that? Point number 4. The masses of females have committed to a rape by deception-centered society instead of standing firm for what is right. Okay, now keep in mind, this might come off like I'm bashing women, but this is the issue of female captives in the Old Testament. Quite often guys like me are more mad about rape than females are. Okay, so why was it right for again, the Bible's a story. The Jews in the Middle East were not authorized by God to take female captives. The people from the Middle East at that time. Okay, that's outrageous. That doesn't make any sense. Can you imagine if the Jews in America started snatching up, women and saying that they're, openly and in front of everybody, or otherwise really, and started saying that they're authorized by God to do so? You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? What good works have you people produced it makes it so that's the case? That's fucking retarded. You see what I'm saying? And so it is with their ancestors. Like John 8, right? You've testified against yourself by your actions that you're the offspring of people who would nowhere near be authorized to do that. No way. Imagine having to explain that to people who don't want to admit that. I mean, it's crazy. So they needed to stand firm for what is right, especially romantic justice. Point number 5. Messing up the brain of the top martial artist ever possible is pure evil. I feel more intense pain from being shunned by attractive females than others do, but the answer isn't to try to put Christ on psych meds. The answer isn't to try to put the most righteous person that ever lived on psych meds. The answer isn't to try to put the top martial artist ever possible on psych meds. That is fucking retarded. The answer isn't to covertly drug or fume. You know how dumb you'd have to be to come to that conclusion? Can you imagine a group of people who call themselves scholars and academics that come to that conclusion? Do you think that the answer is to fume me? And drug me? Because I'm more sensitive to injustice? Because I'm supposed to be in charge? And not you people? That's sick. Think about sensitivity and sensing God. The essential alpha essence to sense the presence of God in the sensitive, righteous, top martial artist ever. You see, if females had effective brains, they would prefer God in me. And they would see the righteousness in me. They would see God in me. And they would not cave in, they would not give in to the threats of the state. Point number 6. Many females work in law enforcement and they help take away the sovereignty of women all the time, to various degrees. Right? They detain them, they lock them up, what have you. They do things in a way that reinforce social norms, which reinforce rape by deception, which is a form of taking away their sovereignty. They use technology, fumes, poisons, coercion, psychology, groupthink, peer pressure, to get them to do things they otherwise would. You're taking away their sovereignty. Just in, right? Earth to the person. Okay. They know that when they lock them up that they are likely to be sexually abused behind bars. And that they know that they're enforcing the law of a corrupt government. I mean, show me someone who would argue that the government isn't corrupt. We'll start there, if you don't believe me. Okay. Society sets them up to fail, but there's no excuse for them not valuing love in me, God in me, righteousness in me, the top martial artist, which is me. There's no excuse for that. For example, if society sets a female up to fail and they're under the same degree of mind control they are right now, okay, would they they jump into a meat grinder for no reason, sober as a whistle? The vast majority of them wouldn't. Okay? They're not that crazy. And so it is with God and me and loving me. They're not so under mind control that they don't know that they should obey God through me. Okay? But they're under mind control enough to be a bit confused about what it means for God to be in me. Point number 7. I am the last person ever possible who can fairly judge and fairly lead. I'm the last person ever possible that is set apart to be in charge, okay, and my righteousness makes it so. So what I'm saying is I'm the only one who's qualified to be in charge, and there will never be another person ever again who is qualified to be in charge. It's also said in the Bible in Proverbs 16:12, the throne is established in righteousness. And I've been going over Jeremiah recently, Jeremiah chapters 1 through like 3 or 4 or something. And you see clearly that people are supposed to turn away from their sin, or they don't have the moral justification to receive good things from God. Okay, for those of you who don't believe in God, the principles of good still apply. Why should they who are immoral receive good things, right? If you're not being moral, you deserve to suffer. Because an injustice for one is an injustice for all, and you're causing suffering. Point number 8. It isn't right to cheat me out of my right to choose a suitable helper. Again, it isn't right to cheat me out of my right to choose a suitable helper. Now let's look at the picture on the screen. If you were voting for a leader, would you choose the Black Panther, the Pink Panther, or Pinky? Now say you're the same race or nationality as the Pink Panther and Pinky. Can you honestly tell me you would choose the Pink Panther or Pinky as your leader instead of the Black Panther? Now, if you saw a female who was mixed with the genes of all three, to keep it simple for those of you who are racist and need to hear it that way, and she was choosing, and you saw a female who chooses Pinky instead of the Black Panther. They're both trying to make her his. Would you not say there's something wrong with her? Maybe you wouldn't, right? Say maybe that's her soulmate or something. Okay. Now, if you saw a planet of 8 billion people where every attractive female was choosing a pinky-ass bitch or a Pink Panther-ass pussy instead of the Black Panther, and there's technologies and drugs and materials and substances that influence behavior, and they've been bred by wicked people for generations, wouldn't you tell those bitches to stop fucking sleeping with bitch-made pussy and choose the Black Panther if you were a decent person? The people who don't understand this concept and say stupid shit like, isn't it their choice? You've bred them to be dumb. You have them hooked to a machine remotely. There's fumes and poisons and all kinds of coercion and peer pressure going on. You've misled them to the best of your ability, and refined your ability to mislead them over time, over generations. And you think the most righteous person ever should be fucking single because of a bunch of evil fucks and the dumb bitches that are evil enough to follow them. That's what you think is right. And that's why I don't respect you.